Well, good morning everybody. Welcome to the cockpit of the Cessna Citation C700 longitude. That's us sitting there. We're down at Nowra at the moment and we're just going to do a run up to Sydney in live weather. I've already put the flight plan in and we'll be getting underway. So first things first, we need to just get some power into the aircraft. So we'll go down to the electrical page here. We're just turning on the standby power and then going to the full batteries, which will be our engine start today. So just letting those build up. There's being a torch test is getting done. Terrain and weather system check. Just looking at our fuel, 7,180 pounds currently, more than enough to get us to Sydney. Next step here is get the auxiliary power unit operating. We need to come in close here to reset the generator before starting. So the APU, as you can see here now, is warming and setting up. Next step here is going to do our weights and fuel in the aircraft. Currently it's bare at 23,300 pounds. Payload is one passenger, which is me. Normally this is a two-pilot aircraft, so my workload in here is going to be pretty busy today. I've got a bag, it weighs 20 pounds. Put that in as well. For takeoff, we need to fuel on board. We need to synchronize the fuel on board. So if we hit that, it tells us that there is 1,071 gallons or 7,187 pounds of fuel, and that is good. We'll need to now go to our speed bugs, which are over here, which will now calculate our speeds for that weight. We're taking off here. Takeoff is highlighted, so we'll go there. And you can see the speeds that we've got is V1 128, VR for rotation 130, V2 one engine climb out at 142, and V flight at 185. And they're portrayed at 128, VR 130, 142 and 185 over here on the PFD. The other item we'll need to do here is our minimums, because we'll be probably doing an ILS into Sydney. So I'm going to set my minimums at 300 feet and we're going to enter that, and it comes up over here on the altitude side of the PFD that when on our approach we'll get a warning at 300 feet as we are on a minimum. As I said, I've loaded the flight plan in. If I go to the full page here and range out, you'll see that we leave Nowra and basically head out over Nowra, Bomaderry, out over Gerringong, out to sea before we get up to closer to Sydney. We make a big left-hand turn and then take our arrival onto 34 left. I think we're going to be getting, it'll be to the north on the 34 orientated runways, when we'll be on the left-hand side of that. So the flight plan is done. Let's go back now to the airport. We'll go back to the flight plan, going all the way through to Sydney. So all that's in place. Okay, so if we go back to home and do our aircraft systems, synoptics, we'll do an engine start shortly, so we'll get that right. Back to home and for launch landing takeoff data. Yankee Sierra November Whiskey. It's at Nowra. The weather here is dry. Temperature is 23 degrees at the moment. And our takeoff flap setting is 1. Don't need ice. Thrust reversers are stowed. So that's all done. And so we're now good for a engine start. So before we do anything, let's have a look outside. We've got one dispatcher, a little bit of traffic around. Be careful before we start firing these engines up. Let's go back down. The engine start procedures are down here. Our engine generators are set to the on position. The hydraulics are set in the on, flaps, engine throttles are on idle, handbrake is on. So we open the guard, start run, and hit the start button. And you'll see in here that there are some instruments and engine readouts starting to develop. That's the right hand engine, or number 2 engine, that we're starting first. And down to engine 1, open the guard, run, close the guard and start. You can see again left hand engine, or number 1, is starting to get some readout. Engine 2 is settling down. And we can go to some performance settings now. So if we go into aircraft systems, into synoptics, and we're going to do the electrical system. You can see here that it's all green, which is really what we want. We've got no reds and yellows. We need to now go into the hydraulics, which is the same, all green and white. Fuel is showing 7,160 pounds, which is matching the other readout here on the fuel page. So we have 2 good engines, and we can go now to performance. And do some checks. So if we go back home, aircraft systems, synoptics, we go to pre-flight, and we can see here we've got a couple of yellow items, which means we need to check these. One is park brake, which is correct because we haven't got it. Second is flaps, because I haven't set those as yet. They're still in the neutral position here. I can set flaps 1 now. It's just moved into the flaps 1 position as required by the check. And the other one is stabiliser trim, which is this item in here, where we've got this little yellow marker. It's this rear stabiliser. We've got to get it back into the green, and we do it off the captain's, the pilot's trim. So if I hold that button down, you can see the little white marker moving down, and I've got to get it back to about 3.5, 6, 5. So that's now set. Back to home. We're looking pretty good. We can cancel aircraft systems. Well, actually, we will go back because there's one other we need to check before we do that. So aircraft systems, synoptics, pre-flight, and a summary. So here's a summary, which is all green and blue. We are good to go. Back home, back to the map, full page, and we'll just now start talking to, so let's get up my assistant who'll be doing all of my radios for me.
Nora clearance delivery, Cessna Victor Hotel Tango Echo Zulu IFR to Sydney, ready to copy. Cessna Victor Hotel Tango Echo Zulu is cleared to Sydney Airport this mile. Takeoff runway 03 climb and maintain 13,000 feet. Departure frequency is 0.29 decimal 8 squawk 1406.
So you can just see I'm going to wind up 13,000 feet here.
Cessna Victor Hotel Tango Echo Zulu cleared to Sydney Airport is fine.
This aircraft also has auto throttle, so I'm going to put that onto manual, and I'm going to wind up the speed, which is currently 200 knots, 210 knots. Departure. Request our taxi.
Taxiing hold short runway 03 using taxiway Alpha Cessna Tango Echo Zulu.
Okay, we're almost ready to go. Got a taxi to and hold 03. Now 03 on our airport map is down here, taking off in that direction of that pink line. So we've got to get our way down to there. So we've got to go basically straight ahead and then turn left down past this antenna. So parking brake is now off. Just give it a bit of throttle. And we'll just weave our way through the Okay, let's get moving. That could be the other traffic there. We're just going to weave between these couple of jets here. Can't see any other traffic. I'm just going to go straight ahead here, out onto the main taxiway and then turn left. Get away from this local traffic here on the thing. We've got a fuel truck coming up to our right. We've got to go to left here. He looks like he's waiting for me. I can get out of his way as well. We've got to go down here. Just get past this antenna. I don't know why they've got it stuck there right on the bend. I think it's actually out of position. Okay, so we're rolling on down. External lights will get going. Taxi lights no longer required. Landing lights are on. Get back on the centre line. Flaps are set. Emergency beacon is operating. When we line up on the runway, the wind will be right to left. Looks like it's blowing around about 10 or 12 knots at the moment. Not enough to worry us at this point. around here, and we'll just hold short of the line. Just making sure 03, that's the correct runway. And holding short, just one final check.
Nora Tower, Cessna Victor Hotel Tango Echo Zulu at runway 03, ready for departure IFR to Sydney. Cessna Victor Hotel Tango Echo Zulu, altimeter 10.8, runway 137, SY. Cleared for takeoff, runway 03. Cleared for takeoff, runway 03, Cessna Victor
2981. Set. Okay, good to go. So as I said, we do have auto throttle on this aircraft, so it's controlled through the autopilot and not so much through the controls. So after takeoff, I'll select auto throttle, and it'll do all of that for us. So you can see it coming around, lining up on the center line at 03, and we're good to go. We have 40% power. 70% power, doing engine checks, no warnings, annunciations, 2 good engines, brakes off, full throttle. Remembering our takeoff speeds 128, 132 and 145. So speed check off the PFD is 80 knots, 90 knots, holding center line, 110, 120, 128 is V1, we can rotate. Maintain the center line, positive rate, gear up. We're 180 knots, going down to the auto throttle, we'll click here, and it's confirmed by the little speed setting that's shown, and going to autopilot. Flaps are off. Holding it, just settling now at 210 knots, that'll be our climb out speed as set. And we've got to do a return here. To intercept. It's coming over the top of Nara. It's the Nara Bridge. Down over the golf course. Okay, just intercepting our radial through to our waypoint to commence our arrival, which is Marlin, which is way up the top up here. There it is. So we come down and do something like that. And just looking at this plan here, so this is us on track coming up to Marlin, but we'll actually be turning short of Marlin to make this turn to Bicus, then Whale, and then Prawn, and then I think we'll be coming around now. We'll either go like that into 3-4 left, or we will come around like that. I can probably check that by looking at the flight plan as to what our so Marlin, Bicus, Whale, Prawn, Tessat, approach, then it's Sausage, and then YSNW. So looking at that, we will be coming through here to Sausage and coming around this way and then back in. So that's our approach route. I can probably shorten the whole thing up by going direct to Whale. And we're going to do that. So we're going direct to Whale, WHALE, duplicates found. So there's a couple of Whales. Whale Australia is the one that we want. Activate to Whale. Now you can see we go, we've just shortened it. So we now need to go to nav and make this turn to bring us in. It'll just save us a little bit of time about having to go all the way up here. Probably not real kosher in terms of air traffic control, but in terms of video time and everything else, that's quite okay. So here we go. So you can see now that we're intercepting this radial to Whale. It's moving in close as the aircraft flies onto the radial, so this will just be a continuous pink line, and the pink line of course is our active, and you can see the aircraft is now just straightening up for itself. So we can really pick up some speed now. We've got up to 290 knots. really humming along. So there's a good shot of the aircraft off the coast of probably towards Wollongong, heading through to Sydney. And we're really zipping along. See what ATC's got to 2981. 2981 is our barometric pressure. We've got that set, so that's all good. So there's a good indication of how we're going to be doing this. Marlin runway 34 left arrival and ILS 34 left approach via Sausage. That hasn't been we haven't activated that approach as yet, so we'll do that once a week. So we'll just commence this turn now, in this wide arc turn. We've got to get to Whale in 7.5, in 1 minute and 10 seconds, and then this next leg to Prawn will be pink, because that will become the new active. Just going to okay, well they've given us a descent to 4,000. Okay, we're going to commence our descent to 3,000. Okay, 3,000 has been set and we're descending. Airspeed will need to come off a little bit because we don't want to get that away on us too much. As you can see, it's coming in around in this manoeuvre now. There's Sydney Airport there in front of us, and our airport that we're going to be getting, our runway is this one here, 34 left, all the way through there. So you can see how it's depicted here, so we're turning to the left. So I've actually got a bit of distance here before we actually go onto the approach. We've got to come all the way around here and back, which will be on our approach. Just getting the speed down again. We'll get down to about 230. Well, it's pretty hard to get the speed down whilst we're descending. So I've got it set at 230 knots, but we're actually doing 260 because of the descent that we're doing. So it's just changed again. You can see we're going to go through this intersection here, all the way around in the loop, come back and set up for final. Going to speed brakes just to help with this speed reduction. That's us there, doing that pink line. So we're heading back to the south again now, back to 183, before we do another big left hand. Just adjusted that speed to 2,900. Coming through 6,300 feet. I may get a new altimeter setting here. (2979). Okay, time to do some checks, I think. APU should be on. And we reset and start. Belts, external lights. And landing lights are on. That's our heading orientation for the runway when we get onto it. We're now commencing this turn. Airspeed's back to 220 knots. We could bring that down a tad bit more. Let's go back to 210. Speed brakes are still armed. And at 2,880 feet. Just got to remember when we've got auto throttles that we need to disconnect that before we go on to our approach. Coming around to the left, way out over the ocean. (2,900 feet. Operating under the nav system at the moment and still with a auto throttle. I'm going to activate our approach. Here's our approach now. So a little bit of a squiggly run into here and then we'll pick up the straight line. So we're coming right onto that. You can see we've got a complete direct center line. We'll follow that right onto the approach here. I'll then select approach up here. I'm going back to 200 knots. Speed brake is off. No longer armed. Interception coming through to pick up the waypoint and the descent. This is our runway. Right over here, I'm going to hit the approach button. So we're now on the approach. So this system, the approach ILS system, is now controlling the aircraft both laterally, which is left and right, and vertically, which is the glide slope, and they're depicted on this display here. That's our vertical display. It should remain in the center here. As soon as it's in the center, we will then start a descent. You'll see that the numbers, and it's turned green, which means we've picked up the localizer and the glide slope, and we are now descending. So speed is becoming very critical. I'm going back to 180 knots. And I want to
Cessna Tango Echo Zulu with 157 at 14. Clear to land runway tree to 11.
auto throttle is off, should be off. Alright, it's a bit messy, but we now need to go to gear down and flaps. So we are now flaps 3. The ILS is flying us onto the runway. We're still on autopilot. Remember, I set my minimums to 300 feet. We should get a call at 300. So we're at 500. Barometric settings correct to get the right readout. We should get it at 300. 2 red, 2 white either side. We're lined up on the centre line. That's the airport in front of us. There was our minimums call. We're now going to my aircraft, and I will fly the aircraft onto the ground.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Reverse thrust, bring down to 60 kilometres, 60 knots, then going to brakes. Just let it coast to its 40 knots, just letting it coast to a stop, and we'll take the next exit that's available to us, which is this one. We'll take this one here. Welcome to Sydney. Just find a little place.
Going to 121.7 Cessna Tango Echo Zulu.
Okay, welcome to Sydney. Not a bad day down here. Nice, better than it is here. Thanks for watching.